Yo, the video worked. We're live. It is the first edition. We haven't even actually officially named this, but first edition of the Monday morning week ahead is sort of what I impromptu titled it for this week. But what we wanted to do is give folks a more consistent set of shows to be able to rely upon each and every week. This Monday show at 11 a.m. Eastern time, designed to be sort of your view of the week ahead. So we're going to spend quite a bit of time walking through some of the things from the last weekend, but also to taking a look at what's coming this week. I didn't like that view. We're going to go to this view. So we spent some time. We built up some show notes. Of course, we're going to share the schedule from luckytrader.com, which is where a lot of these things are being pulled from. It's Logan here alongside Lou, who joined and hosted for us last week. And then, of course, Danny Miranda as well. Good morning, folks, especially for you, Lou, very early there on the other side of the United States. How are we doing, guys?
Good. Yeah, it's not that early. It's still 9 a.m. It's not like Tony tagging me at 5 a.m. in the Discord earlier. But yeah, happy to be here and excited to talk about what's coming this week.
Yeah, Danny, how are you doing?
Doing absolutely wonderful. Just got some great rest and relaxation this past weekend. A busy NFT NYC. Got to decompress a little bit. Got to think about what it all meant and what it was all like, and just grateful and energized to be here today with you folk.
Yeah. So as I said, we'll get right into this. What we'd like to do with this show each and every week, again, it's designed to be same time, same place. So you'll find us on YouTube and on Twitter, of course, at Lucky Trader HQ. Each week, all time about the upcoming week. We're going to talk about the schedule, of course, which houses a whole host of things. We're going to talk about a couple things from the weekend as well. Jason's pointing in here. Let's talk Reddit. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Lou and I were fist fighting, casually fist fighting with words just a few moments ago about the Reddit information. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the weekend, and then we're going to basically hop through the schedule and then hopefully spend quite a bit of time, especially on some of these things that we feel are most important based on sentiment or demand throughout the course of the week. And hopefully this show becomes, a place for folks to be able to gather alpha and also just prepare their schedules, prepare their wallets accordingly, right, for the week ahead. So first and foremost, though, why don't we talk about a couple things from this weekend? We have a few different things on the show notes here that we want to chat about. You've got Ethereum hitting new all-time highs. It might actually still be going up as we speak.
Only up.
So for the ... fans, actually, did the new ... ever release from the last all-time high?
There was something yesterday. Tony might know if he's still in the chat, but I know they were having issues with their contract. So people were calling, oh, this is a rug. Like they're never going to add more items to it. And I'm not sure if they hadn't yet.
Okay.
It was the type of thing where when I think originally they talked about their project, it was every time the all-time high changed, they would add to their total supply.
Right.
And they still haven't, even though that, when was the first day that all-time high hit again? That was like
I'm not sure,
Tuesday or Wednesday, wasn't it? It was like early.
I don't know the exact date, but I do know like we're approaching 4,800 right now. So that would be the last, all-time high was like 4,650, something like that. Anyway,
in
Ethereum,
the 46s, yeah.
Ethereum all-time high. Over the weekend, we also had Art Wars. I don't know if folks saw Art Wars. This was sort of unique, right? This is Ben Moore, a UK-based artist that based on I think it says it right here in the opening paragraph, but based on a landmark Supreme Court ruling, the creator of the prop for the Stormtrooper stuff gifted him 2 helmets or 2 suits, and then he has since collaborated and iterated on those things. So this happened over the weekend. Not yet reveal. When reveal does happen, of course, you'll be able to access all of those, see the rarity rankings, see them all in our Asset Explorer at luckytrader.com. It's already there, ready to go, just awaiting for reveal. But you had notable artists participating collaborating alongside Ben Moore. People like Damien Hirst. I thought there was an example of the Damien Hirst one on here. Maybe it was on the drop space. Damien Hirst and others, right? Other notable names that took place and kind of collaborated alongside this. So that dropped at 0.6 Ethereum over the weekend and sold out like instantly or near instantly, right? Strong upward moves thus far. I think the floor is like around 2 Ethereum right now, pre-reveal. We'll see what happens post-reveal. Nevertheless, like a good sign to see something priced like that go. Maybe pointing to a little bit of what could be the endings of a bear market. Can we call it that? Who knows? Anyway, and then the last other weekend news that we should mention that we were just chatting about was, I guess this came out over the weekend, though I didn't see it until like maybe 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, was the Reddit news. Essentially, and I have not gone too deep on this because I just found out about it, but more or less, the expectation is that the karma points via Reddit will become ERC20 tokens, right? So just tokens built upon the Ethereum blockchain and the Ethereum ERC20 standard. And yeah, we were just chatting a little bit about this. I was saying, Danny, I don't know if you heard about this. It was just before the show, but I was saying that this seems obviously like a really strong positive to potentially onboard more and more people. Lou, you had a slightly different take. Do you want to go ahead and give your take for the audience?
My take was there's going to be just so many tokens and it's going to be like heavily saturated. So my sort of counterpoint is, if you're just giving a bunch of people $3, like, are they really going to be that excited to get onboarded onto crypto? So I think maybe once we get a little more clarity on like what the token is going to be, if there's going to be sort of use cases for it, or if it's just going to be traded with a dollar amount. Yeah, kind of like what he's saying, like it could be huge, like definitely can, if there's, because we're looking up some stats, and I think as of last year, there was over 200 million US based Reddit accounts. And I mean, that number is massive. If like even just 1% at most of those people are already in crypto, or should I say NFTs. So I think that's where a lot of this like AMC stuff came from, though, right? Was Reddit. So maybe they just start pumping their karma bags. I mean,
and people on Reddit in particular, right? They're ready for the financialization of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think the big positive from my standpoint, and I don't think you were fudding this part, Lou, right, was just the aligning of incentives potentially, right? This is just what Web3 is about, which is giving access to your participants to, you know, recoup some reward based on the gain of the entire ecosystem, right? Which is different than how Web 2 or traditional or whatever you want to call it typically has operated, whereby we've seen, you know, only the corporation truly benefit from the consumers who are kind of backing and building that corporation for them, right? Or providing the demand, nevertheless. So yeah, I mean, that's my big catalyst. Danny, I mean, you've of course not really seen too much about this, but any like immediate take based on the little information we just provided?
Yeah, my immediate take is that this will be the moment, or something like this will be the moment where it instantly clicks in a lot of people's minds and eyes, where they'll instantly say, wow, I get a piece for something that I built and I didn't even realize it. For example, what would happen if Wikipedia said, okay, we are going to, all the money we've been donated, everyone who's a top contributor now gets a token version of Wikipedia. And maybe there's not that many people in Wikipedia, but Reddit's a greater example with more users. But it's just like people are contributing to these networks and not realizing that they've been contributing and adding so much value to it. And if you give people that access, it's going to instantly click in a lot of people's minds that, oh, this isn't just a scam. And once people get their first taste of it, first taste of an NFT, first taste of financial incentive, and something they otherwise didn't view was possible, they'll instantly be like, holy smokes, this is a big deal. Also want to give a shout out to Ryan Hodge, who has been in every single Lucky Trader Lounge. So big shout out, Ryan Hodge. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank everyone for being here. What I was mentioning actually in the Discord, which we just released to the public, like full release to the public. If Tony or somebody wants to throw that Discord link in the chat, please, that would be great. Otherwise, I'll fumble around and try to get to it here in just a little bit. Nevertheless, I was commenting in the Discord early this morning. I've been up for quite some time now. That maybe we should do like a POAP for for lounge participants, and then we can
That'd
do
be cool.
raffles and stuff. So something that, we have not solidified any plans to do so, but I was peeking around what
No
we could
pun
potentially
intended.
do. Yeah.
Solidified.
Last little bit of weekend news we should chat about, which goes to, it's similar in nature to the Reddit news, is the ENS airdrop / token claim tonight, right? So again, participants of Ethereum name service, if you had purchased a .eth domain before, I think, October 31st, you are eligible to potentially claim ENS tokens, a governance token, later tonight. I think it's 8 p.m. Eastern or something like that. This is just another example, though. Yeah, another example, though, of, the protocol in this instance, or the corporation, however you'd like to view that, actively rewarding. I mean, they're like kind of drastically shifting, going like DAO route, but actively rewarding, right, those participants that helped enable the growth of that protocol. I had one quick comment. Maybe somebody knows this. Danny, you mentioned Wikipedia. I think it's a super awesome example, potentially. I don't know if they're doing anything or thinking about Web3 at all. Do they have less users than Reddit? That would be something that I'm not sure. I don't know really.
I think so. I think Wikipedia has less than Reddit, if I just had to guess off the top of my head.
You have a guess there, Lou?
At least has less creators.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, you can't just edit on Wikipedia like you can on Reddit.
Okay. I know a little. I mean, I'm not an active participant in either spot, which would be sad for me should the day come where tokens drop. Like, I'm not getting any. I think I posted on Reddit maybe 1 or 2 times.
It might be time to pump some Reddit bags before they do a snapshot.
I know I'm gonna need to. I do have a Reddit burner. I'm not gonna unveil it today.
Could
but
you
I
imagine if
get my
Twitter
account
did something like this?
suspended.
I don't know. I don't know. Isn't Jack like largely a Bitcoin maxi? I mean, he's doing some Twitter NFT, obviously, right? Like embracing Web3 in some ways, but geez, Reddit has 50 billion plus monthly views, 52 million. Yeah. Okay, Wikipedia's got no chance.
So
just curious.
What I would say, going off of Danny's point, which I think he made a great point about. Oh yeah. So I think where he's saying it'll click for people. That's, I think, the part that when you look at like these PFPs, that's what doesn't click for people. So when you see, oh, this is what you could use these tokens for that I can invest in. Because I always look for, like, people they joke, but like the utility, what's like the use case of these things? And when it's like, well, I'm just chatting online and commenting on this thing, talking about something I'm already interested in. And at the end of the day, the more I comment, the more I'm active, the more they give back to me. I think that's the part that if they succeed, that's going to be huge for them. Yeah, I mean, that's the aligning incentives thing. I mean, that's what Web3 has largely been about, and hopefully it continues to be about. It's funny that in this case, right, like this is kind of retroactive news. So Danny was talking about people that didn't even know that they were like, you don't think about that when you're contributing to those things, that you're actively contributing to the success or lack thereof of the platform. But that's something that as we're actively building Lucky Trader, right? Like we're trying to build our awareness. We're trying to build the reach. We want more and more people to tune into this every single week. I might need to shape up a bit for that to be the case. Nevertheless, it's sort of weird from this standpoint now. Like we want to incentivize people to be on here to build with us, right? And sort of the way the Web3 mechanics have worked or enabled this makes it potentially like a realistic potential outcome, right? Like we can quite literally, maybe, depending on the legal ramifications of this, we could maybe incentivize you folks watching via a token or an NFT or a POAP or something, right, to actively participate alongside us, and then also to recoup some of the reward should we successfully build a brand, right? So it's kind of exciting. Any last thoughts there before we hop into like this week upcoming, though? Because I'm excited about some of these things that we have on the notes. We've got Art Blocks Curated. We're going to chat a little bit about Nyan Heroes, which is kind of interesting. There's a whole handful of things that I wanted to chat about this week. So any last thoughts before we get to that, guys?
Good over here.
Okay. All right. Let's hop in. So if you head to the project schedule page at luckytrader.com, accessible right here up at the top, it's either /NFT/schedule, or you can click schedule in the top navigation bar. Take a look, scroll through, right? This is going to be your preparation for the upcoming week. What's dropping, how much, where, what is it, right? Just a small description about where you can find those things. And you can start to actively engage with those communities should you wish to. Two things coming up here in actually the next few hours that are both notable enough that I'd like to spend at least 5 minutes or so about each one of these. I think we should start with Nyan Heroes just because it's listed first. Everybody knows the Art Blocks thing, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time chatting Nyan Heroes. So I don't understand the whole Nyan cat meme thing. I don't know what Nyan even means. Maybe somebody
huge meme.
Yeah,
the
it
Reddit
is.
would Reddit users would love it.
What is Nyan? Is that a Nyan? Am I even saying that right? I'm not even sure I am.
I was listening to a video that he was saying Nyan.
Okay.
I don't know if that's necessarily.
All I can
it's
think
like
of is
one of the most famous
cyan, right?
YouTube videos of all time.
Right. It's the cat in the little thing that goes across the screen, right?
Yeah, it's like a cat and a little Pop-Tart, and there's like a rainbow following it kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
It sold for $560K, right?
Well, yeah, there's like a whole handful.
NFT.
Okay, we see here neon. Okay, hopefully. Anyway, point aside, that's not in particular why I'm interested about this. It's a game, PDE game, dropping on Solana, right? Their public sale is happening a little bit later today. 11,111 unique, beautifully generated Nyan Heroes. You see the little cats inside their robots. There have been some already minted via pre-sale or whitelist sale. So there's about a little less than 7,000 remaining. Yeah. And then you can scroll through the website. Of course, this is accessible for you here. You can scroll through and learn a little about it, right? Staking, everybody's favorite words, right? Staking, play to earn, game. And most of the time we may sort of quickly move beyond these things just because at this point in time, everyone is including this in their roadmap. It's a way for folks to get excited without substance, right? You don't need much beyond those keywords to get excited.
So I went into the white paper a little bit.
Okay, cool.
It looks like they're trying to be Fortnite for Web 3.0. So that's the style of game. It's a third-person shooter battle royale, but they also are planning on having different game modes. So some of the game modes are going to be short, one-on-one, reach this end. Yeah. So that there's the battle royale is the main one, but then there's going to be one that looks more like questing, where you can do it X amount of times, say once every 24 hours. Or
adventure mode.
Yeah, so there's a few different game modes they're going with, but then this guild mode is going to be something where down the road you'll be able to buy land, and you can build a guild with other people, real life people. You can join their guild, and the land could create earnings back to you as well.
Is this so I'm not much of a gamer, so I don't have a whole lot to draw from, but is this sort of like what some of those mobile games, right? Like the Guild War, was that a game? Or Clash of Clans? Is that sort of how that worked, right? Like you built a friend clan and then created land that you had to defend. Yeah. That's interesting. One of the other reasons that I wanted to talk about that, aside from some of those mechanics, right, potentially being interesting and hopefully fruitful as well, was this when comparing to other projects, because a lot of projects, right, are using these buzzwords, PDE, token, staking, rewards. A little bit different here. Nyan cats. I've seen some conflicting pronunciations here in the chat. So I'll say both for the time being. But should point out, they just raised the seed fund, $2.5 million, which as far as seed funds go, I mean, this is very, very early stage. Impressive nonetheless. As far as seed funds go, okay, we don't need to get too excited about $2.5 million, but the names attached providing some of the money is where you get a little bit more excited, perhaps. 3 Arrows Capital, YGG, Yield Guild Games. These are like Sino, Global Capital. I'm not, some of these I don't necessarily recognize, but like this column on the left here, those are like notable names, at least ones that like I definitely recognize. YGG has been a huge proponent of like Axie, right? And a whole handful of other games. 3 Arrows Capital, of course, is like super, super notable. This is something that for me, my entire life for the most part, and a lot of people that have gotten into NFTs, right? It's been about tailing smart people that they know, the Ballerz article and everything. Like Tony likes to say he's Ballerz +1, which just means that he hopped in the day after Ballerz wrote the article. Nevertheless, like a lot of my life has been like, okay, let me listen to very, very smart people and kind of follow and see what they do. And I've been working on this blog post for like 6 months. That's called The Laziest Way to See the Future. And it's more or less like, scrape VC websites and just take a look at the companies that they're backing, right? Like that's how you can see the future. So, more or less. This is one of those examples to me where, as I think about a project that I would potentially invest in, are other notable investors putting their money where their mouth is, right? And this is, again, not financial advice. Nothing on this show ever is going to be financial advice, purely informational, purely educational. However, this is something that to me, like that would be a red flag, or a good red flag means bad, right? But this would be like a good flag. Green flag, what's the flag color of choice here? This would be a good mark.
Yes, green,
for me.
yeah.
Green flag. The question about whether it's on Solana or ETH, it is on Solana. So you'll need like a Phantom wallet. Phantom's fantastic, by the way. Or whatever. I think Soulflare might be a wallet, and some others. It's very, very fast. Very fast. The gas fees, there aren't really any. So those are obviously some huge proponents to utilizing Solana. But not everybody is appropriately equipped. Go ahead, Lou.
They have a weird, their drop mechanic is kind of weird in this.
I was going to chat about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're calling it's something like fair play policy.
Fair launch proposal
fair
or
launch.
something. Yeah.
And so the problem I have with it is it's closer to a raffle system. And if there's more, it takes more time out of your day is the issue I have with it. So there's like a 30-minute window where you throw a bid out there, and it's a minimum of 3 Solana for the bid, which when they started talking about this in September or whatever, August, 3 Solana cost $250. Now each of those are $250. So it's a lot more expensive now. And then what they do is they take like the medium price, and anyone that is below that price is out, and everyone that's at least that or up gets thrown in the raffle. So if there's 7,500 people,
you're not out though. If I'm reading this correctly,
you could like rebid.
No, you can essentially like, let me throw this on the screen. I'm going to be sharing our show notes. You'll see how clean and clear they are as a group. I pasted this in from the Discord. So I'm pretty sure in here, you can opt in if your bid was below right here. If your bid was below the median price, you can opt in at the fair price during phase 2. So let's say you bid 3 and the median price was 5, right? You could opt into the 5.
So then what's the point of the first bidding system then? Right? If you could just rebid after.
Well, the median price of all the bids will become the fair price for the public mint. So
they're just like
they're like
to
setting
see what
yeah,
the
they're like
setting
yeah, they're crowdsourcing the fair price. If you bid, right, like if you bid at all ahead of the public, right, if you're curious and willing to take that step, you're sort of not guaranteeing, but giving yourself a better probability of grabbing like a raffle ticket, if I'm reading this correctly, than if you just didn't bid at all, is the way I believe I'm doing it. But it is unique. It is a little weird as well. I think you're right, Lou. Like how, think about the people participating. Adding in more steps and complexity is like not always great, you know what I mean? And potentially a deterrent to getting people in, though at the same time, it is fairer than other ways, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, most of these Solana drops, you hop in and it's gone in like 10 seconds because of how fast the transactions go. And sometimes you'll go in and the Solana is just out of your wallet and you don't know if you got anything or not. So at least it's fair.
and they roll it back, right? Like I've had that happen on Solana,
Yeah,
where
then
the
they just send it back
projects
to you.
Caillou cards or something.
So I've never minted on Solana before. What are some tips for somebody who has never minted a Solana project before?
Fast fingers.
Yeah,
Good
you
internet
have to get the
connection.
wallet.
Yeah.
You have to get that Phantom wallet set up before.
Yeah, so I would say, Danny, I mean, the tips and tricks are going to be very similar to what you would do on, Ethereum and using like MetaMask and stuff. Like, right, the user experience is going to be quite similar. There are some things though where with token approvals on Solana, like there are some stuff where I don't want to say it's considerably more dangerous, but if you're not paying attention and you move a little too quickly, right? Like our advice to people has always been slow down a little bit. If you move a little too quickly on Solana, you can put yourself in a bit more jeopardy than potentially on Ethereum. And I'm not technically equipped to answer those questions, but that's something we should definitely think about providing for the future. I know we've been covering more Solana NFTs, at least in terms of the schedule and the project overviews and stuff. I think it is our intention at some point to potentially provide asset explorers where possible. The infrastructure, of course, is all still being built out for Solana NFTs. So good question. Let's return to it in some future version. We have a question here from Jonathan Bales. Thank you, Jonathan, for watching. Love to hear your thoughts on the factors that go into whether or not you're buying into a project or not. Can we use that as a segue to the Art Blocks thing? As a way we can, let's use this as a segue into the Art Blocks Curated. So talked a little bit about Nyan Heroes, the Solana NFT project dropping here shortly in the next couple hours. We also have another esteemed project. Whoops, I'm on the wrong tab here. Coming in just a second with Art Blocks Curated, Edifice by Ben Kovach. Kovach, not exactly sure.
Is that time accurate? Is that one actually dropping in, I guess, an hour and a half?
We're going to find out if it's not. 1 p.m. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that Solana drop is actually later in the day.
Did it get bumped? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's at like 4 or something.
Okay. We'll be sure if somebody, we'll be sure to update that on the schedule then to the best of our ability. I do want to make a note while we're chatting about that. The schedule is built by humans, and these projects are always changing things. So if you notice something that seems wrong, feel free to ping us and we'll make an edit there. But projects do very randomly make changes. So the question was, what factors are you thinking about before you're participating or deciding whether or not to throw your money at something? I think Art Blocks is a good way to think about or introduce perhaps this analysis breakdown, because Art Blocks at its core has developed a very strong reputation for is particularly curated projects, right? But very strong reputation for providing highly valuable generative art NFTs, right? However, in the near term or in the more recent term, we've seen like a whole handful of projects that have gone unminted on Art Blocks, right? These are all the available, right? Most all of these, are these all available? I think. Yeah, I remember detailing these the other day. So there's a whole lot of projects right now whereby you need to like kind of stop and think whether it makes sense to potentially engage, even though it is Art Blocks, right? Not quite as simple as mint and print. You know what I mean? TM, mint and print, TM.
Are those, so the ones that have P, those are Playground and the other one's Factory? Is that how it?
Yes, Artist Playground Collection. And Playground means that they were selected for curated at one point. So there's a curated board. If you're not familiar with Art Blocks, there are 3 sets of projects. There's curated, which is kind of the top tier. That's today's drop. That has to kind of get approval by the curation team at Art Blocks. Playground, which is a step below. And after you've developed a curated set, you can then put yourself in the Playground. And then Factory, which is kind of this bottom tier where there's no real oversight into there. I shouldn't say that. There may be some oversight, but it's, you don't need to have had a curated drop yet. But back to the original question, right? So Art Blocks has developed this really strong profile as a generative platform, as a brand in the NFT ecosystem, particularly as it pertains to generative art. Now, though, it's not quite as simple as mint and print, TM. So, Lou, we've been talking about today's drop coming, right? Curated drop, Dutch auction. What are some of the things that you'd be thinking about before you made your decision as to whether or not you would purchase something like this?
So in this case, this is a little specific, but because it's a curated drop, it's going to generally have higher demand. It's likely going to be a better, not artist, but more well-known artist. I believe, is it Factory that pretty much anyone could post onto there? So it's basically more like other people have done their research on it. It's not just like a random artist throwing their art on the board. It's gone through a couple different steps, but in this case, it's the first of Series 4. So one thing I look at a lot is like the narrative behind some of these projects, and it's the first of the 4th set. We haven't seen an Art Blocks curated drop in about 6 weeks. So I think people have been sitting, waiting, researching it a little more than normal, where maybe it's only been a week since the last drop or something like that. So I think people have been sitting around waiting for it. So it's got a lot more hype around it right now. So I expect this to be a good indicator of where the market is right now. I think it might depend on where that resting price is. Like if the resting price goes all the way to 0.1 ETH, then I think that's not a very good indicator of the market. Really hoping that it doesn't get all the way down there. But I think they all got sold at 10 ETH, then that's a huge indicator that people are still long-term bullish on Art Blocks, especially curated.
Yeah. Danny, do you have a take, whether it be Art Blocks or Art Blocks aside, maybe the example didn't work quite as well as I wished for it to, about participation and the things that you're thinking and looking about?
Yeah, normally I just look at what Jonathan Bales is doing, just tracking his wallet. No, but in all seriousness, I think that it comes down to the people behind the project and deciding if I want to believe in that artist, that person, that creator, and saying to myself, is this person going to still be involved in this project in 5 years? And how much do I believe in their ability to capture culture in a real way? I think that's what my determinant is.
Yeah.
What about you, Loki?
5 years. Holy hell. 5 years. I can't even. I can't, man. 5 years. Oh boy. Yeah. So for me, for
you,
me,
it's more 5 minutes, right?
I know, right? For me, I mean, I think it's a lot of the same things that Lou has chatted about here, right? The lone difference when you use the Art Blocks example, it's a little tough, right? Because it is a little bit more, as Lou was mentioning, about the overall market dynamics potentially, as they've started to, I don't want to say like outflood supply and demand, but we've sort of seen that, right? Because not all their projects naturally are selling out. But if you were to backtrack a little bit and market conditions were a little bit different, sometimes it was as simple as participating in Art Blocks because of the brand that they've created and because of the team behind it and your expectation that that type of team, Eric, Snowfro, right? Those people have put their name behind it, put skin in the game, and are actively looking in a way to build this for the foreseeable future. And that's what you just mentioned, Danny, is a strong positive for a lot of these projects. So that is definitely like the case, right? Is someone committed to building this brand? Has somebody put their name and face to it? We were talking in the community Discord, which is opened up. I don't know if Lou, if one of you can drop that Discord link in there for folks. We were chatting about it earlier this morning about how important that is, that somebody's willing to put their face to things, especially in either a pseudonymous or an anonymous ecosystem. Not even for like the doxing reason, right? But like the ability for us to, I don't know, better attach someone's reputation to the work that they're doing. Just alone, right? If somebody is willing to even put their Twitter profile to something, you could at the minimum, be able to tell whether or not in the future that individual, you should be able to tell whether or not you'd wish to participate in the future based on that individual's previous actions, right, or prior actions. And the blockchain itself does a great job of doing that. We can see accountability as a result of public ledgers. Like, that's awesome. It's a little bit more difficult and convoluted when people are hopping through a million anonymous channels. But yeah, so that's something as well. Are they committed to the long term? I think you're right, Danny. 5 years is like forever. It's impossible to think about that far out. But have they put their face kind of behind the project? Yes, of course. And then two, does the data suggest, and we're starting to get more data and information, and we're starting to curate that for you, right? Like at luckytrader.com. And we're starting to build more analysis as we gather more and more data and information about these projects. But does the data support potential growth for a project like this? Like we were talking about Nyan Heroes and gaming. Well, just let's take a look at like, and I don't have the data to pull up right now, but let's take a look at like gaming in the traditional sense, right? Like it's like projected growth curve is just like up only, right? Like forever. It only makes sense. We've talked about this a handful of times before, but it only makes sense that that'll find a way to kind of permeate into Web3 as it already is. And then additionally, you're going to be able to better align incentives between players and creators, right? And I just think all those things, right? So whatever, I got a little off, but team, yes. Long-term, yes. Unique and organic and authentic builds, like things that are interesting, not profile picture projects. Yes, like those things, at least trying. This is what Reddit's trying to do, right, Lou? They're at least trying something new. You know what I mean? So that's interesting. And then two, lastly, fourth, whatever, does the data potentially suggest? I don't want to get like overly traditional investing theory, whatever, but like, is there an addressable market for this thing? That still matters, right? Definitely still matters. Especially as onboarding new folks is like harder, right?
Yeah, and I think that a little different with Art Blocks versus some of these other ones is we have specific to Art Blocks is there are completists out there that want to collect each of the art blocks that ever existed that are curated. And now there's things like fractional that they have in the ABC 1, 2, 3 set. They have each of the three. They're going to likely have a way that you can invest in art blocks as the set complete. So I think that's where something like this, you can almost guarantee there'll be some sort of secondary market for that side of it. So that's where it's a little harder with art blocks. They're one of the blue chips in a way, where it's more of the brand that you're buying into versus the individual pieces. But that's where I think you see the separation with factory, playground, away from curated. So I guess more so with that other question on like what you're looking for, I'm generally looking at the teams behind it and what they've done in the past, if they have history in NFTs, crypto, that sort of thing. And I'm not really looking at the team for art blocks. It's already kind of been baked in that people know Snowfro and the history behind it. So now you're looking at the artist.
Yeah.
Like, is this an artist that, like this guy, he has 1,200 followers on Foundation. I'm not sure on Foundation if that's a higher or number or not. But generally, like we'll look at things like their Twitter following, their Instagram following is a good one to look at too, especially with artists. So what kind of other stuff does he have that looks cool?
Yeah, well, I think what you're speaking for there is something Danny talks a lot about, but like your ability to build a brand yourself, right? There's a lot of Fidenza looking stuff here. This Sorbet series, there's a couple here. Sorbet 4. I mean, this is Fidenza, right? Anyway, what I wanted to share with bringing this up was, one, to continue the conversation about art blocks. Benjamin's drop is the one happening here at Edifice in a couple hours. Art Blocks Curated, right over here, 976 Dutch auction starting at 10 Ethereum, dropping every 5 minutes. Lou, I think your guess was what, 3.5 is where we'll find it. 3.5 to 2.4.
3.5 or 2.4 is if I was to guess. It's a big drop, that gap.
Yeah.
Because generally, like the way that if I was going to be jumping into an Art Blocks, the way I sort of determine it is it going to sell out in this section? If not, like what would that next section plus gas cost? Because there's that threshold where like if everyone's hopping in at 2.4, but it costs 1 extra ETH in gas, then it might be better to take the time period before. There's that like game theory attached to it. But with that big of a gap, like, I don't know, you could just wait for 2.4 or not buy at all.
Yeah. So this brings me to 2 alpha points I want to share at this point in time.
Alpha alert by Logan.
Alpha alert. 2 things about this in particular. One was Lou just mentioned about Dutch auctions in particular, which is, this always happens with Dutch auctions, right? Where folks wait. We've talked about this before, but folks wait until they've picked a price in their head, and everybody waits until this one particular moment, and everyone has a similar price point. And so what happens is that everybody's trying to push transactions at the same time, and gas as a result ends up spiking, and then you're paying what you would have paid if you'd have minted 15 minutes earlier, right? So that's a small little like Dutch auction share thing. It might not matter with Art Blocks. That might be a bad example, right? But with others like Mutant Ape Yacht Club, the same thing happened. We saw it happen with like Boonji, King Frogs, like a handful of other notable Dutch auctions. Same type of thing, right? You're gonna get yourself a similar cost basis if you just mint a little before the big wave, right? Because if you mint in the big wave, you either miss because you don't have enough ready to gas up, or 2, you're just slow, right? And you're going to end up paying what you would have paid eventually. So that's one thing. Alpha alert. Second alpha alert that I want to bring up, and this is part of the reason that I had Ben's foundation up, was we spent a handful of hours of talk about ways that you can almost find. I'm not even sure arbitrage is the appropriate word in this instance, but a lot of times you can find, right? So Benjamin is going to drop his pieces on Art Blocks. They're going to sell out probably well before the 2.4. Let's say they get to 2.4 Ethereum. That happens like, pretty naturally on Art Blocks. You're going to be able to find, in a lot of instances, pieces from these artists elsewhere. It happened with Lauren Bednar. There were like pieces on Ethereum or on OpenSea for like 0.3 ETH. You're going to be able to find some stuff from these artists elsewhere that is like either 1 of 1 or 1 of 5 or something like that for either much, much cheaper or a similar price. And this is where like that Art Blocks premium, right, is sometimes a little frustrating because like it doesn't make sense, right, that this 1 of 1 could go for 5.85, but the 1 of 1 you're buying on Art Blocks is 7, right, if it went there. So just another thing, like it might not be applicable in this particular scenario with Benjamin's work on Foundation and the work on Art Blocks. But it's something to potentially pay attention to. And I always try to do like a little bit of a search when a new curated artist is announced to find some of their work elsewhere and just see, is there like a super wide gap, right? Like, does he have stuff that he dropped in January that's still available for 0.1? For 0.1, even if you can't make the multiples that you'd get from the Art Blocks premium, you're going to likely have the opportunity to significantly return on your investment for something like that. So just another small alpha point that we've brought up on previous episodes as well.
Could we go to OpenSea or wherever and check out what Benjamin's work is selling for elsewhere?
Yeah, we can do so. I will try to do so off screen here to the best of my ability.
Yeah, because that was what, there was like 25 pieces that you were just looking at that were
something
all
like that
above 1 ETH, which obviously that's a good thing too.
I'm not sure how to find. I'd have to find one of the two. It's just going to take me a second, Danny. So we'll keep walking through stuff. Yeah, we'll keep walking through stuff because we haven't put like a show cap on this, but we should probably try to wrap up in the next 45 minutes or so. There are still some things that I definitely want to get to. 2 like bigger things that I want to get to. So why don't I try to find this in the background and let's talk a little bit about some of these other things on the schedule. Lou, you added.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I did want to have one more point on the Nyan Heroes.
Okay.
And so this was just more an interesting thing that I noticed. I went down a weird rabbit hole with that project yesterday when I started looking at it. And so their founder is a huge YouTube personality. And so has like 30 million subscribers across YouTube channels.
That's a
And
lot.
she was in since 2018, she's the top Australian YouTube personality. So one thing that I do look for in a lot of these projects is what kind of following do they have? And so there's 50,000 people in their Discord, but I thought it was really interesting that they have this like massive YouTube personality who is like the founder. I don't know, obviously, like you never know how into it they are, if maybe they're just the face of the project, but yeah, that was one more thing that I wanted to mention on that.
I saw, and that goes to, that's another kind of right in line with the investors behind this being notable investors as well, right? Like,
Betting on
that's
the
interesting.
people.
This green flag, I don't know. Not investment advice,
But
NFA.
it's expensive to hop in. Is the
Here you
issue
go,
I have.
Danny. Right here. This looks like a 1 of 1 for 3 Ethereum.
That's the cheapest?
I'm sorted on price low to high. I mean, most of his stuff is not listed for sale. This
Wow.
has been if I think this is him, right?
And what
created by
about
Ben.
sales? What about sales? Could you sort by sales or no?
Yeah, we can. And pretty soon, by the way, we can do this stuff on Lucky Trader. Okay, yep. So he minted this Edifice number 0.
This is still connected to the foundation stuff though, so I'm not sure.
Right, it is, but I don't see any secondary sales listed here.
Zero
But
sales.
there is one listed for sale on OpenSea for 3 ETH. Somebody offered 0.03.
See, so that one said last sale 1.5 on the right.
Yep, that's this one right here. Glim number 777. So this is ridiculous, right? How much is it 7 days ago? Sold for 1.5. I bet this because he minted the first Edifice 10 days ago, right? So if you're sitting on watching that Art Blocks Curated contract or something, and you see Ben.K mint something, and then you scramble to his other work, and then you find a 1 of 1 for 1.5. This is this dude right here, Bobber, would be my guess, is making a bet that post Art Blocks Curated drop from Ben.K, Benjamin Kovach, this is, although he's relisted for just 3, so he's looking for what appears to be a quick flip, but still, even at 3, I don't know. Not financial advice.
I mean, that's a good point though, because we see a lot of the cases in some of these projects where they come out with like their second version, and then that boosts the first version up as well. So it's a similar idea where, this guy just sold 1,000 art blocks for 5 ETH, and this is up for sale at 3. People are gonna look at that and see it's a discount.
Exactly. Not financial advice. All right, Lou mentioned the Nyan Heroes thing. I did find the stuff, so we're back on track. There's a couple other things that I wanted to chat about. So did you guys see Kevin Rose's tweet yesterday about Thorguards? Did you see this? So Thorguards, another thing on the schedule here at luckytrader.com. A collection of 9,999 3D artwork NFT characters on the Ethereum blockchain. You can register for these. I like actually this register idea that a handful of projects are doing. This is kind of similar almost to the Nyan Cats thing, right? Not quite the same, but so you don't actually pay anything right now. You sort of register for a spot. This is like your whitelist thing. I don't really want to talk about that in particular. They're sort of cool looking. Kevin Rose tweeted about it. I think he used the words aped in. I think he said that. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, this is what I want to talk about, which was unique to me. I haven't seen this elsewhere, at least as of yet. This allocation boost program that they're doing. So they've announced this allocation boost that essentially you can, see these +4s and +2. +4s and +2s. Based on your other holdings, you could potentially whitelist yourself for other NFTs or for more NFTs. And we have seen this in some ways, right? Where BAYC is whitelisted or, punks are whitelisted for this particular project. And I think that's unique in certain ways, but this is the first time I've seen it based on your actual token holdings. And additionally, I just like that. I don't know. I like that they've put this in here in a way that's like accessible as well, because those other ones, there's to buy a punk to get whitelisted for some project or whatever, right? You're not buying the punk to get whitelisted, and everybody knows why they would whitelist the punks, right? Because that's typically your OG collectors that have a lot of influence, etc. This is actually something that, like, if you were super curious and really wanted to stand behind Thorguards for whatever reason, you could sort of build a bridge to more Thorguard exposure in a way that's actually manageable. You know what I mean? $250. So I just thought this was something that's unique. I don't know that we're seeing it too many other places, potentially. I don't know. Do you have any other examples of this, guys? I'm not sure if you guys had seen that. That's something I want to talk about.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one. So they, I guess the way I've seen it before is like in Discords, you could level up, and some Discords you would gain like points, and they did some giveaways for points, or you could do some challenges for points. There was one I did in Solana like a week or two ago where they were doing like a Pictionary. It was like a Pictionary game, and the first person to answer it right got a point, and then whoever had the most points at the end of the round got onto the whitelist. And so there's things like that I've seen, but not specifically like investing actual money, and they're like gifting you NFTs if you, in a way, pay more, right?
And they're not, so to be clear, I mean, they're not like asking people to buy those things or whatever, though you could do that, right? And they're not promising any financial incentives or whatever. But the whole point there is that Thorguards, the team, is attached in some way, or at least has some affinity for Thor Chain and Thor Swap, right? So they're trying to promote more awareness of that particular thing. So I think that's interesting, and just another unique way of potentially creating like fair launch. Like, I'm not sure what the right way to say that is, but everybody is looking for ways to do. I still think Creature Worlds is one of the best one. I say it every freaking time. People are so annoyed at me saying the Creature World thing, but creating like some unique way for folks to be able to potentially mint, right? And not ostracizing folks that are unable, whether it be through technological means or, internet connections or whatever the case may be. It's just, creating a new subset of folks that could potentially participate, trying to create some fairness in distribution as well. I actually don't mind the look of the Thorguards. I don't know that I'll mint. But.
What is Thor? What is the Thor chain? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, so Thor Chain is kind of like I'm gonna butcher the technical
look it up.
underlings here. Thor Chain is like a privacy type focused chain, correct, Blue? I'll bring it up here.
Yeah, well. I think it's a DApp that I don't think it's not a side chain of ETH, is it?
I think, is it built on? It might be its own chain. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a side chain of ETH.
Yeah, it's a so here's the CoinGecko stuff for Thor Chain. I messed with a little bit earlier this year.
So so Thor Swap is a DeFi exchange, and they had almost, it was 3.75 million their initial token sale.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll try to do better research about the Thor Chain next time.
That's one I haven't gotten into much, but I believe I know some people in my other Discord that have been staking and yield farming for Thor, so they've been pretty happy with this type of news.
I met someone at NFT NYC. Danny and I both did. Danny, I don't know if you caught it. One of the conversations after a party, he was talking about most of his crypto exposure is as a result of a Thor node that it's gone up and up and up since the time that he'd actively started participating in it. I'm trying to find this Kevin Rose tweet with his aping in to
pretty
Thor
recent.
cards. Yeah, I know. I thought it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 22 hours ago.
Okay. Yeah, Danny found it before me. Anyway, I just aped into Thorguards mainly because I'm a huge fan. Okay, I got it here. I just got to pull up my screen. Yeah. I did see this. Is this a Thorguard, though? What is his profile picture? That's not a Thorguard. I don't know what that is. I just aped into Thorguards mainly because I'm a huge Thor Chain fan and love the characters. I do think the characters look cool. And I think I said that before Kevin Rose tweeted it too. So they're kind of cool. They remind me of those like Funky Pop things. Are they called Funky Pops or whatever? You guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
I have one right here.
Lou's got one. He knows what I'm talking
I
about.
just have two. This is a Bob Ross one, and then I also have this as the White Walker.
Those are cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Funko.
like these things.
Are they Funko or
There
Funko?
was
Yeah.
I think there was a drop. Funky Pops, I think, is the name of the drop on Wax.
Wait, what? That's a drop. Funky
They did
Pops?
these. The brand did NFTs on Wax. I'm not sure if there was a physical to it as well. I missed it. It sold out like instantly. I never got a chance. Have you guys gotten into Wax at all?
I bought Street Fighter.
That's usually the response I get on Wax.
Oh man, my Street Fighter bags are packed, baby.
Wax has been pumping recently. I mean, it's 50 cents, 40 cents or something like that. But Wax was one that
Deadheads does have a similar art style. I like the look of Deadheads. I never bought a Deadhead. Do either of you have a Deadhead?
Yeah.
I used to.
I was big on Deadheads initially. My thing with Deadheads, it has a little sore taste in my mouth, is that I sold pre-reveal one of the golden skellies, and so that one hurt a little. But I like the Deadheads in general. They've been doing little like cartoon 5-minute clips.
You know what we haven't done much on this show is we really haven't plugged Lucky Trader that much. You know, we want to be about
the min is 0.2 on the
company man. Logan Hitchcock reporting live from LuckyTrader.com.
What'd you have?
Oh man, you don't even have
this to him.
The high ranks. It was it's a golden skeleton.
What do you know? You have any idea what the?
If you go
gold skeleton.
Yeah, so there's only 50 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't remember specifically which one of these.
Trauma.
How dope do those look?
Very
cool. I don't know that I would characterize them as dope. I'm more of a. I'm
just because they don't have a warm color palette, Logan, doesn't mean
say.
that it's not dope. These are so dope.
Oh, these ghost ones.
Let's just say the day
this
after
this one is really cool. I like these.
The one I had sold for 8 ETH after.
The day after?
Let's just say that. Let's just say it doesn't matter what it looks like. Let's just say
painful.
It sold for 8 ETH.
Oh.
And I sold it for like 0.4 pre-reveal. I thought it was crazy. I was like getting 0.4 and it hasn't even revealed yet for something I paid 0.08 for.
Yeah. Well, at that point in time, Lou, though, you probably didn't have a tool like Lucky Trader to be able to provide you rarities like near instantly upon.
Honestly,
reveal,
I don't even know if rarity tools was really much of a thing back then.
Yeah.
So this was decent.
Of course, we've been having a lot of conversations about this because we've been getting questions about like, well, when do the rarities populate? How do they populate? We just launched an article on the site from our data scientist Lambert Chu. You can learn a little bit more about how exactly the rarities and the price estimations and everything are populated. Again, we do so as objectively as possible based on data and science, and the two words mushed together, data science. To make it objective and purely informational. So we're not turning knobs manually, really. But nevertheless, just dropped this last week. We've been getting a question about how exactly does it happen? When does it happen? And it's really, really important that we wait until all of the metadata and everything is kind of unfurled itself appropriately. And so we may not be the fastest on record. I'm not sure exactly. We're also going to always be one of the first and hopefully be accurate as well. Of course, rarity rankings are going to differ strongly, maybe not strongly, but going to differ across platforms, right? Everybody does it slightly differently. So we're not going to match anyone, but we're going to hopefully do it very quickly for you, as well as do it accurately in a way that is post-reveal so as to not inaccurately provide rarities, right? If we do it before all the assets are revealed, then the rarities can start to change themselves once others are revealed. So just something to pay attention to, hopefully a question answered for folks in the crowd. Sorry about the Deadheads thing, Lou. I sold a ringer for 1.5 ETH if you want to ever talk about it.
Yeah, that makes you feel a little better, I guess.
It does, right? Yeah.
The way that I look at it is the strategy, like the thesis behind the sale was this was one that I like aped in pretty hard too. I want to say I bought like 10 of them. So I was selling pre-reveal, but I don't know which one I'm going to choose to the point of to get my money back basically. And then the rest I'll reveal. So it was just luck of the draw.
Yeah. Just
Wasn't
unfortunate.
meant to be.
Yeah. Somebody else did real well on that, Lou. You probably changed somebody's life that day.
Someone else is like, I bought this for 0.4, sold it for 8 in a day. This was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's hop into one of the other notes that we have for this upcoming week. I'm sure you folks may have seen this. If you follow Zeneca on Twitter, he's an advisor to the Curious Addies collection drop. I saw on their Discord. This has been on the schedule, but it's been one of these ones that they've been kind of waiting for more information and more understanding of gas prices and stuff, hopefully to a point where it's more reasonable for folks. This is likely to happen this week, and I saw from the Discord announcement, very likely to take place on Wednesday this week, the Curious Addies drop. So just want to bring it up here as we prepare folks for the week. A bunch of interesting things about this project in particular. One of them being that they're labeling themselves the first risk-free NFT mint. So you can mint a Curious Addy, and then if you want your full, they've put this in the smart contract, if you want the full mint price back, you can, in the first 100 days, sort of call the function to basically refund yourself for the Curious Addy.
These are going to sell out instantly, right?
Well, I think they're going to sell out instantly, maybe for a variety of reasons. I believe I saw in the Discord, like they already have. So they were taking kind of votes based on the whitelist to see how many people should be allowed to mint. I think they've decided 2 is the number. So if everyone mints 2, like I don't think they even reach the public.
Right.
I want to say I'm on this pre-sale. I hope I am. I think.
Is it too late to get in?
One.
I don't know. Probably. It seems like yes. Though they still have the button active, Danny. Like you can
have to check that out.
You can click this. You can click this.
Right? Can I DM Zeneca and say, "Yo, did you enjoy our conversation?"
No, you can't use your brand.
No, I think you should.
Yeah,
trying to get in there.
I know.
Big hey, there's still spots left on this, right?
Wink, wink.
Anyway, but this is really unique, and actually, I think there's some synergies here. We might have to reach out to the Curious Addies team. There may be some synergies here with what we're trying to do at Lucky Trader as well, which is the whole point about this, right? Is they're trying to teach and educate folks as well. So they're creating like a game or a game design to allow folks to utilize the NFT that they'd be purchasing during the drop, right? To kind of actively use it to reward themselves and engage and learn about Web3. So the first one, I think think of it as Duolingo for crypto. The first one though is a trading club, Curious Addies Trading Club, game designed to make it fun and effortless to learn about. So this is sort of like Rabbit Hole, but with NFT, with an NFT, sort of, right?
Can I ask a question here that might be just tangentially related?
You can, yeah.
Why do you think every project or the far majority of projects has 10,000 pieces? Why not 15,000? Why not 73,000? Why not 6,000? What do you guys think?
Punks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then apes. Poor apes.
Have Matt and John, the Larva Labs folks, ever said why they picked 10,000? I'm sure somebody's asked them that, right? Danny, get them on the podcast. I might have an in, actually, to them.
Excellent.
I might know a guy who knows a guy. No joke.
Yeah. And I don't want to say that there's like math behind it, like tested on why 10,000 is better than 3,000, but I think like a distribution of people that own it and distribution of rarities, like just a larger sample size. And it seems like when projects do more than 10,000, those ones don't seem to do as well. Like it's oversaturated. So I feel like 10,000's just become kind of the standard and sweet spot on a lot of these projects. That I think that's why they currently do it.
Yeah, but
CEO Peter Jennings told us about 100,000 piece project?
I mean, it's inevitable, right? If we want more, well, one, if more people come, you need more pieces. And if we want more people to come, we have to allow for more pieces. Because the other thing is like really handy thing at Lucky Trader, right? You can see the unique owners of projects right on the project rankings page. I'm going to try to bring it up here in just a second. Take a look even at the, I know I have a broken thing here with the video. Sorry, that's me.
You're
You guys are
unavailable.
baiting me to say that the line that there's 18 billion Bitcoin,
The millionaire quote.
but there's only 10,000 crypto puzzles.
Yep. There's like 300 million millionaires, but there's only 10,000. It's something like that, right? Anyway, this unique owners tab for most projects, the 10,000 projects, like even the better ones, right? And I think these ones that we've sorted on now, like these are what you'd call the better ones. You know what I mean? Like Creature World, just
That
approaching
crypto dad's
6,000.
number is insane.
Is it real? Do we have a bug here?
That's
we are in beta.
Yeah, that's I don't know. But
we are in beta. Folks.
No, I know they do have a very high percentage, 82%.
Yeah,
maybe they have an incentive, and people are
potentially,
or something.
But nevertheless, I mean, like if you take a look at these, right, the point stands where like even some of the better ones, like Cool Cats, right, it's like basically 2 to 1, cats to holders. You need to get more people in. You got to do a better job at bringing down that ratio, right? To make it inclusive for folks, of course. So, it's because of the mom's drop.
So I think they did a per wallet you get. So people were spreading them to new wallets so they could get more of the crypto moms airdrop.
Yeah. Smart.
Also, I want to tackle I saw a question a while ago from Andrew. I don't know if Andrew's still here. It was 20 minutes or so ago. But I think the best way to track wallets might be something that I'd love to explore. And I'm curious how you guys do it, if you do. Yeah,
I do. Full disclosure. I shamelessly mentioned before that one of my mantras has been just tail smart people, right? And so part of your process needs to be identifying those smart people, right? And not everybody is doing things for the right reasons. We've talked about this in the NFT space in particular. So it's not quite as simple as just follow any notable influencer and buy what they buy, right? I would not encourage that. But if you find some trusted folks that you think are sharp, savvy investors, it is something you can utilize. If not to buy, inform yourself about what's coming. You know what I mean? About what other people are looking into. You can do this via watching wallets. I use a service called cryptocurrency alerting or something like that. We are hopeful, very, very hopeful, sometime soon, alpha leak, to bring this type of thing to Lucky Trader. I don't know how soon it is. I'm not sure I was allowed to say that, but I did.
Immediate find.
And so, yeah, it's Andrew, if you are still around, hopefully very, very soon on site, you'll be able to kind of add these alerts yourself. And
what do you use now? What was the tool?
I think it's called cryptocurrency alerting or something like that. There's a whole handful.
Nansen is probably the most known one that it's a lot more expensive. It's
so the one I'm using is like
month or something.
$0, I believe. And I think we would be offering this for free as well. I think
there's also like Discord bots that you could create. All you have to do is like find basically like the slug, and it can track it on OpenSea, or you can track it to their wallet address, and it'll let you know different things. Like you can have, what are they minting? You can like filter by what are they minting or what are they buying on secondary. So.
Yeah, we need to do a whole show on some stuff like this. There's a lot of really valuable information. The great thing, Andrew, about blockchains, the reason you can do this is because everything's public and transparent, right? And so there's pros and cons to that, but that is one of the really cool things about it is we have the ability to do that. We should spend a whole show though walking through Etherscan and some of the things that you can do.
I was using Etherscan for a while, and I stopped using it because I couldn't figure it out. It was too smart for someone like me. I didn't know what things meant. I didn't want to click into the contract every time. And I was like, this is too complicated for me, for my current level. So
we'll spend an entire chat. Lou, I know you've done some content even on your own about minting from contracts, right? Which is like that's a technical barrier that unfortunately kept a lot of folks out previously earlier this year, that we would like to help you hurdle.
Yeah, especially with like when gas wars are happening,
right?
And sometimes the site goes down, or the site is just slower a lot of times than going directly through the contract.
Yep. So we should do a handful of shows around this in particular, but there's a lot that you can learn from the blockchain itself and from the data that's being populated. So that's kind of your question there, Andrew. I know Jenny, you did say it kind of half jokingly, but dead serious, right? That is like a super super useful tool and resource to NFTs in particular and blockchains, right? You could do it for if you're buying coins too, right?
There was a time where our Discord, we were tracking Fleur. So if Fleur went and made 10 purchases on a specific project, then we basically knew there are other people tailing him. And this is going to be something that all of a sudden now there's 50 new buys because everyone's trying to hop on. Oh, why is this guy buying? So that's like the general idea. We joke that some people in our Discord trigger Nansen alerts, and because if you're a big enough whale at times, then it'll automatically have you on a list. So it's like there are people that track wallets already, so it's more like trying to front run what the other people are thinking and what they're trying to do as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got through the show notes that we had, so I'd like to take the time to open it up. If there are more questions, if there are things from this week that folks would like us to dive into, I think we'll spend the next 17 minutes or so.
I'm going to take a piss real quick then.
Jeez. I'm going to remove him from the stream. It's just you and I now, Lou. He said the P word on stream. Yeah, we should talk about this. Tony mentioned this. This is something that has happened. I've tweeted about it a couple times in the past, but there is a way for like creators of smart contracts to essentially mint pieces to folks. And so if like you're just watching OpenSea, for example, you may see where it says minted by someone you're following. And if you don't actually dig into the data, like on Etherscan, for example, you may just blindly, to use Kevin Rose's term here, ape in, right, to that project.
That's like their goal.
Right, that's their goal, exactly, is to get people to ape in to the project without kind of looking. And I've been caught on it at least once. But there are ways around that, and that's definitely something we should spend an entire show talking about. So that's a good thing. Always slow down, folks. Slowing down is always a good thing. Not a problem at all.
You get stuff minted to your wallet.
Danny truly live streaming.
I've tweeted a number of times how I piss straight while doing a podcast interview, but I'll have the decency to excuse myself while with you fine gentlemen.
Yeah. Okay. So we got about 15 minutes. If there are things that we're missing, folks, please feel free to drop them in about this week. If you have questions about NFTs, if you have questions about the weekend, anything that we're missing, happy to chat about. Additionally, you should add, this is the first time we've done this Monday show, right? The week ahead, looking ahead to the projects that are coming in this week, talking a little bit about the weekend. If you enjoyed this format, if you found it valuable, or if you had feedback on ways that we can make it more valuable, please do let us know. Again, we're hopeful to be here every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time to do something similar, to provide you with a more consistent set of expectations about what you can come and consume. So every week it'll be one of the three of us or a couple of the three of us. I will not be on next Mondays. So it's just you guys and then whoever else would decide to hop on. But yeah, so feedback is welcome. Yeah, maybe you will.
Smash the like, smash the subscribe.
Yeah, of
do
course,
the
all
fun
those things.
Smash it.
Just wait until we go outro too. Lou built us a little outro that
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna try to effectively place on the screen. While we're waiting for questions, though, and before we get into other stuff, we should, of course, continue to plug Lucky Trader to the best of our ability, right? We have the Lucky Trader podcast and the host, Danny Miranda, here. In the last week or 2 weeks, we've released plenty of episodes. Last one was with Gabby Goldberg, Web3, working for the Churning Group, Web3, Andy Chorlian, Andy8052 from Fractional.art. We've had Zeneca on, Tom Bilyeu, Jack Butcher, a whole handful of notable guests. Danny, are you able to tease any of the upcomings?
No, because I'm recording tonight with the potential guest. So hopefully,
Okay.
yeah.
You'll have to stay tuned. You can find the podcast in all the same places that you find all of your podcasts. Please do like, subscribe that, leave comments for Danny, people that you'd like for us to talk to. We have a question. Traditionally, as ETH pumps, NFT markets become bearish. Do you all think that at some point NFTs start to moon again during this ETH bull run just because people have more liquidity? So, Lou, you want to tackle this first?
Yeah, I think part of it comes down to there's a lot of people who, I mean, we joke, but they consider 1 ETH equals 1 ETH, and they don't even really care about the price of it. I think more of the concern is new people. So a new person comes on, they see $250 for a gas fee just to buy something that is already sort of expensive. Like it might already cost $1,000, and then on top of that, it's another 25% for a fee. That's how I'm more concerned about it. But I think long term, once it becomes like more like $5,000 for one Ethereum becomes more of the norm, then that's when people are going to start like getting back into the one ETH kind of idea. Because when it goes up, when it moons like this, a lot of people will cash out into USD because they bought in at 3,000. So maybe they had a target of 5K and they'll cash them out. So that's more, I think, of a short-term thinking of it. But people will still buy into good projects that they like, things like these curated drops.
I think somebody said it last week. I don't know if I'm not exactly sure who, but just the sideways price action, like some more stability is not a word you can use, frequently in the crypto adjacent places. What is USD? Anyway, I think the sidewaysness will help NFTs. I think once people can sort of get beyond the shock of because every day your NFTs are getting, or gaining value, right? Not in Ethereum terms, but in USD terms, as you just mentioned, Lou. So, yeah. Go ahead, Danny.
Have we had any launch date for Coinbase?
No, that was last week, though. Jason Bales, who's in the chat, wrote an article. It's accessible on luckytrader.com about some of from what we can tell. Again, this is written with not the complete set of information, but from what we can tell, the potential for some gasless transactions and what are the costs here, pros and cons. So there was a video released. I think it's just a little bit further down here. It looks like our site is not loading for right now. The tweet, I don't know why that's the case, but there's a tweet from one of the lead product officers, or I'm not sure the exact title, that showed some of the marketplace. So sometime soon, hopefully. I don't know when. Lou, do you have a take on that? You were fudding Reddit, so do you want to FUD Coinbase now too?
They're completely different beasts. Coinbase is a product that is already having users with crypto. Like they already have the wallet on there. They already have the money onboarded, and they're providing them, hey, look what you can buy with that money. Look, you can also sell it here. And it's more of a marketplace. And I think it's going to be the idea of, can they beat out OpenSea? It seems like they're trying to build things that people have had as complaints for OpenSea, and that's what they're really guiding towards. When Danny and I on Thursday were looking at this, and what we thought was really cool is it seems like they're adding like the social aspect to it. You can follow your friends. You can have like a live feed of what you want. So kind of what we were talking about before, you could probably list a bunch of people as wallets and see what they're doing. And that's something that I think would be really cool as an ad.
Yeah. Oh man, I think it's overwhelmingly positive. There are obviously concerns, like Jason pointed out. The centralization is a little bit of a concern, but they're letting you self-custody if you want to. For those who don't need to or don't want to or don't care, right? You don't need to. Yeah. So I think it's overwhelmingly positive in many, many ways. Mitchell put it here. Hard for normies to come into NFTs right now, pay $2,000 on a profile picture for a B-level project. Yeah, of course. I think that's always going to be the case. I think the thing that maybe we're overestimating is the folks who are actively participating right now are folks that have created like an insane amount of disposable income through magic internet money, right? For the most part. What percentage of the eventual onboarded folks have anywhere near the same level of disposable income?
Right. It's one thing when some of these people are buying like 100 ETH at $100, that now it's crazy amounts because it's,
right. And those were the people
40x.
that were already in crypto, right? So they were first to these things, and now they've seen their NFT gains, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't want to be I'm not a bear. I'm naturally a bull. I think a positive,
Are you
optimistic.
fighting just NFTs in general? Not
I'm
just Reddit?
I'm not fighting NFTs. I have professionally leveraged myself on NFTs. Please go to luckytrader.com. Thank you. However, it is something that, like, I don't know, man. I don't know what happens to prices, right? Like, we've seen it with Top Shot. I don't know that we should necessarily go apples to apples comparison here, but like, still has not recouped from those tops ish. From
How
February.
far are we from the Top Shot tops? 50%? Is it 25%? 10%?
70 or 80, isn't it, Lou? I don't have the exact numbers.
You mean in actual numbers?
Yeah, so like, where the Top Shot
fake
market
numbers, Lou.
the Top Shot market where it is now, how far below where are we?
Oh, like the price difference from when it's top?
My guess was
man.
70 or 80%.
Yeah,
Mitchell said 85%.
I'd say
We're
they're like
85% down
20%.
today.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like,
Holy
yeah. I think
smokes.
they were. I mean, it depends on what you're looking at, but there was some stuff that had like $1,000 floors that are
Dude,
now
it was
like
insane.
$100 floors.
But think about
Wow.
think about the dynamics of that though. Is like, that was at the time when you couldn't withdraw, right? Like,
Yeah, that was big.
supply was limited. It was just like the perfect condition for up only. It's like people couldn't get their money off the platform, and there was there were no more cards being added or moments being added at that point in time. And so it was just like, more money was coming, rightfully so, but the conditions were just ripe for up.
We're gonna look back in like 10 years from now and be like, was that even a thing?
We may be looking back at all this 10 years from now thinking, how is that a thing?
It was like, what a crazy.
Someone bought a Bismack Biombo moment for me for like $500.
I mean, there was the floor on Series 1 had to have been at least $1,000 at one point.
You know what's really sick? You want to talk about sick stuff? I was holding all the Cool Cats, and like at one point in time, the entire Cool Cats market cap was like $20,000.
What?
And it was just
that was the only thing that they like actually made the utility.
It was
long term. Yeah, like recurring utility.
How many did you have?
I just had like every Cool Cat you needed. I don't know how many it was.
Oh yeah, it's like at least 40 of them or something, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It was wild. It was pretty wild. One thing I wanted to note before we sign off here about the Coinbase stuff that I was thinking about in regards to, we were talking earlier about Ben Kovach's stuff on OpenSea, right? And I was mentioning a little bit of like ARB/alpha stuff. Something that's interesting about this is with Coinbase, are we going to finally start to see like the aggregator come in so right now, right, you saw that you can sort of see the same types of work, right, for Ben's work on Foundation and Ben's work on OpenSea. Like, basically, it's all the same ones. But there are other places where a drop has taken place and you don't have it all aggregated, even if it is all on Ethereum. right? And then you have these platforms where we don't know if Coinbase is going to support like Tezos, for example, right? But Ben or like Killer Acid or others have started to drop stuff on Tezos. So will you start to see a place like Coinbase or another potential marketplace aggregate all of a person's work across chains and allow folks to buy? That is a big unlock. We talked about that, Danny, with Lauren Bednar in particular, right? Where Bednar's pieces from Art Blocks, 2 Ethereum min or something, 3 Ethereum min, but like I'm holding pieces on Tezos that are like $8. And there's the Art Blocks premium, there's an Ethereum premium, totally get it. But like, should it be that out of whack? I don't think so. And so if Coinbase or a like product aggregates those where you're just now viewing Lauren Bednar, right? You're just seeing all of Lauren Bednar's works. And then you take a look at those side by side. Like,
you got to show me how to do that.
What do you mean?
Like buy Lauren Bednar for $8.
You got to dig, man. You got to dig. You got to be a grinder, man. You're not. We're going to give away the alpha, but it's our job here.
On all of the social media platforms, I'm sure.
Yeah. Our job at Lucky Trader is not to point you to what to buy, right? But to give you the tools and resources like we've just shared, right? In this sort of analysis for potentially finding arbitrage opportunities, if you want to call it that. We're going to teach you how to do that, hopefully. You're going to have to take the onus on yourself to do it because we're not going to point you to which projects to buy, unfortunately, for yourselves potentially. But we're going to teach you how.
I think that's the biggest issue people have with Solana is they don't really have one marketplace. There's like 4 different marketplaces, and
terrible.
If you post to one, you can't post to the other, and
that's how you know we're early.
Yeah, it's like one of them is gonna come out on top. That's what happened with OpenSea. Like they ran straight away from Rarible, which when I was earlier the year, I used Rarible more than OpenSea, and now I don't even look on Rarible at all.
It's because you can't even freaking search on Rarible, dude.
Yeah.
Is Coinbase gonna have Solana?
We don't know. We don't know.
That could be a game changer. That could just eat up the whole market in 2 seconds, right?
I think the difficulty, though, so I have some friends who I've chatted about this with. I think there's just some difficulty with Solana itself and the infrastructure that makes it more difficult than Ethereum to do those types of things. We're actively working on this, though, right? Like we want to be able to provide the assets, but we're thinking about it as well. Like, how do you do so, right? Because as Lou pointed out, one collection shows 100. There's only like 150 fracts or whatever on Solana or something like that, right?
Yeah. So part of that has to do with you can stake them. So I think it's somewhat lower as well.
But any of those projects, right? It's the same type of thing.
Oh yeah, you're saying basically the way I interpret it is I'm giving them the item.
Yeah.
I'm giving the item to Solana Art. So then I don't own it until I either delist it back to me or it sells and then they give me the soul.
Yeah. So DGen Ape Academy, right? A collection of 10,000 items, only 962 listed for sale on Solana Art. So it's like the other part about this that's difficult is, well, one, we should say this is where arbitrage opportunities become real.
Oh yeah.
Right. When you're looking at a floor price on Solana Art that's 40 and I don't know it. I can try to do it real quick here, but
I've seen that with some though, where like the other one might be
Soulseed,
30.
Soulseed.io.
Yeah, you can see it on like another one for cheaper.
So like let's see. Degen, not Degen Lizzie. I don't ever use Soulseed. Okay, so like Degen Apes, right? Let's go to the collection. Floor price 120. Oh, there's only 3 listed.
Yeah. Right. So there's only 3 listed on here. So it's just like such a mess and everything's all over the place. But I mean, people have been buying into Sol recently. So people seem to be pretty bullish on it in general.
Cool. Okay. Well, we got 12:30, folks. I appreciate Logan. I appreciate the note. I dig testing out this Monday preview format. Yeah, we are testing it out, but I think we definitely want to do this in the future. Hopefully this was valuable for everyone. I know we talked about a whole host of things, but we did specifically spend a lot of time on the week upcoming. So, we talked about, I'm going to pull up the schedule at Lucky Trader, but we talked about Curious Addies and Nyan Heroes and Art Blocks Curated and all the things that are coming up this week that you could prepare both your calendars and schedules for. If there are things about the show that you did not like in particular, or things that you want us to focus on moving into the next show when we do this again next Monday, please let us know. Very excited to be able to do this more regularly. Again, clearly state expectations for everyone, what they can expect when they hop on the stream. For myself, Lou, Danny, appreciate everyone coming out. Any last thoughts, guys, before I try to put this video up? Is it a video
over here?
I'm going to mess this up, aren't I?
Grateful for everyone who came to see us. Grateful for you guys for being a part of this. I mean, very informative. I appreciate you guys allowing me the opportunity to ask so many questions because you guys are real veterans in the space, it seems like. So I'm just grateful to be here. Thank you.
Here's the last thing I'm going to do before we sign off is I'm going to drop in the Discord link. We did unlock this for the entire public, right? So if you didn't already know, you're watching this and weren't already there, please hop in to the Discord. You'll be able to access Lou, Danny, myself, ask questions, and gain valuable insights beyond just the stream. So, Lou, did you have any last thoughts?
Nope. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna click for the video and then go up and click end broadcast because it'll pop up again because the video is only like 5 seconds. So then if you click the end broadcast right as the video is ending, it'll be perfect.
Okay. We're going to try it. All right. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. We'll catch you next time.